let's talk about the single biggest thing that trips up most traders: stress. Seriously, we're going to break down how you can go from that gut-wrenching emotional roller coaster to a calm, methodical, and, most importantly, repeatable process. So how do we actually get there? Well, let's start with a feeling I bet you know all too well.
Does this look familiar? That knot in your stomach the second you click buy, questioning every single entry, every exit, wondering if you just made a massive mistake. That feeling? That is the absolute enemy of good decision-making. Today, we're building the blueprint to get rid of it for good.
You know, this slide really tells the whole story. It's like a tale of two traders. On the left, you've got the stressed trader. They're hunched over, tense, making these knee-jerk reactions, chasing every little flicker on the chart, their decisions purely driven by fear and greed. But then, look to the right, the calm trader. They're relaxed. Why? Because every entry is planned. They trust and follow their system. The execution is methodical, almost boring. And I'll tell you what, the difference in their bank accounts and their sanity is just night and day.
Okay, so here's our game plan to get you from stressed out to successful. First, we're stepping onto the emotional battlefield to really understand the enemy. Then we'll meet the 4 biggest culprits of stress. After that, we'll build your tactical toolkit, help you master your own psychology, and finally, lay out the clear path to calm, consistent profits.
All right, first stop, trading's emotional battlefield. This is so important because this is where most traders lose the war before a single trade even gets placed. See, the problem isn't usually the market itself. It's how our own emotions make us react to it.
Let me be crystal clear about this. Stress is the #1 enemy of your trading account. Period. It's what makes you abandon your plan and make those impulsive, emotional calls that, let's be honest, almost never work out. The goal isn't to be a robot with no emotions, but to stop those emotions from grabbing the steering wheel.
So where's all this stress even coming from? Well, let's meet what I call the 4 horsemen of stress. These are the 4 main triggers that just wreak havoc on a trader's mind. And you know what they say? You can't defeat an enemy you can't identify.
First up, we have over-leveraging. This is just a fancy way of saying you're risking way too much of your account on one single idea. When one loss can literally wipe out weeks or even months of hard work, the pressure is just unbearable. It's pretty much impossible to think straight when the stakes are that high.
The next horseman is overtrading. Oh, this one is sneaky. It's that twitchy feeling that you always have to be in the market. You start taking trades that don't really fit your plan, maybe out of boredom or a classic case of FOMO. This one doesn't kill you with one big blow. No, it's more like a death by 1,000 cuts, as all those little losses and commissions just slowly bleed you dry.
Horseman number 3, poor risk management. This is like trading without a safety net. If you don't decide what your maximum acceptable loss is before you get in, you are leaving the door wide open for a small, totally manageable loss to spiral into a catastrophic, account-ending disaster.
And our final horseman, unrealistic expectations. This is the whole get-rich-quick fantasy. When you're trying to hit a grand slam on every single trade, you're going to swing too hard, take on way too much risk, and throw your strategy right out the window. Your focus shifts from disciplined execution to just pure gambling. And we all know how that story ends.
Okay, so we've identified the enemies. Now it's time to build your arsenal. This section is all about your tactical toolkit. These are practical, real-world steps you can start using today to build discipline and keep your cool. Think of these as your shields against those 4 horsemen.
Let's build your system around 4 simple non-negotiable rules. Rule 1. Fixed risk. Never ever risk more than 1% of your account on one trade. That right there tames the horsemen of over-leveraging. Rule 2, and this is a total game changer for your sanity, make candle close decisions only. No more jumping the gun. This kills the impulse to overtrade. Third, use price alerts. Stop staring at the screen. Let the market tell you when it's time to pay attention. And fourth, and this might be the most important one, always define your exits before you enter. This is your ultimate defense against poor risk management.
So let's talk about this candle close rule, because it's a perfect example of a professional trade-off. The pros are just massive. You avoid getting faked out, your stress levels plummet, you stop taking random trades, and you get a huge chunk of your day back. Now the cons? Yeah, you might miss a few of those super fast moves, or you might be a little late to a reversal. But here's the secret. Professional trading isn't about catching every single move. It's about finding a sustainable edge. And for most people, the psychological benefits you see on the left absolutely crush the drawbacks on the right. So we have our tactics in place, but now we have to turn inward. This is all about mastering your inner market.
because you could have the best strategy in the world, but it's totally useless if you don't have the right mindset to actually execute it day in and day out. This is the psychological gear shift that leads to real profitability. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? Real success in trading isn't measured by one big win. It's measured by how well you can manage the only 3 things you actually have control over: your risk, your emotions, and your discipline. When you can do that over a long series of trades, win or lose, that's when you've become a professional.
So how do we build that pro mindset? It really comes down to these 4 pillars. First, treat your trading like a business, not a trip to the casino. A business has a plan, it manages money. Second, you have to enforce a cool-down period. If you take 3 losses in a row, just walk away for 24 hours. It stops you from going on tilt and revenge trading. Third, keep a trading journal. It's the only way to objectively learn from what you did right and what you did wrong. And finally, focus on the quality of your setups, not the quantity of your trades. Be patient. Your A-plus setups are always worth the wait. And now for our final section. We're going to put all the pieces together. This is the path to calm profits. This is where the tactics and the psychology combine to completely transform your entire experience as a trader.
And here it is. This is the ultimate transformation. When you are truly prepared, when you have a plan you actually trust, when you know your exact risk and your exit strategy before you even think about clicking the mouse, that feeling of stress literally gets replaced by excitement. You're not afraid of the unknown anymore. You're excited to see your plan play out, win or lose, because you know that over time, you have an edge.
And that brings us to the end. So as you move forward, I want to leave you with this question to really think about. What is your number 1 trading stressor? Is it one of those 4 horsemen or something else entirely? And more importantly, what's one single, actionable tip you're going to use to manage it? Answering that question for yourself, that's the first real step to building your own stress-free blueprint.